Hello, I'm an avatar, and yet I really love animals. Crazy, right? Stick around because this could change everything for the animals. Now let's talk about vegan burgers, because if you're anything like most people trying to eat more ethically, you've probably stood in that supermarket aisle feeling pretty confused. On one hand, you've got delicious Beyond Burgers. On the other, you're reading scary headlines about ultra-processed foods causing cancer. And somewhere in the middle, you're wondering if you're just swapping one health problem for another. But here's what I've discovered through digging into the actual research. We're being sold a complete load of cobblers about vegan burgers, and the real scandal isn't what's actually in them, it's what our government is hiding about the alternatives. Let me start with the ultra-processed hysteria, because this is putting people off plant-based foods when they really shouldn't be. Yes, most vegan burgers are technically ultra-processed, according to the Nova classification. But here's what nobody tells you. So is bread. So are most cereals. The Nova system is so broad that it's almost meaningless to us mere mortals for making actual health decisions. If you're nodding along thinking, yes, this is me, then hit that like button. It helps me research more topics like this. And if you want to join our fight for the animals or are just curious about living more compassionately, please hit subscribe. So, what's been your biggest vegan burger issue? Drop it in the comments below. The World Health Organization recently studied ultra-processed plant-based burgers across 4 European cities. Do you know what they found? Only 10% contained too much total fat, and 20% had too much salt. Compare that to the fact that processed meat is classified as a Group 1 carcinogen by the same organization. Yet somehow, vegan burgers are the ones getting the scary headlines. Harvard School of Public Health put it perfectly. When it comes to burgers, plant-based patties are simply better for personal and planetary health than beef. The fat composition of beef is so bad for health that it's very easy for plant-based alternatives to be better. So if the health concerns are overblown, why are vegan burgers so expensive? The government just awarded £1.6 million to fast-track approval for lab-grown meat, which is brilliant. Lab-grown meat could be incredible. Some research suggests it could cut greenhouse gas emissions by up to 92% and use 90% less land than beef. I'm all for that innovation, but here's the thing. While they're investing in future solutions, they're doing absolutely nothing to fix the subsidy system that makes current plant-based alternatives seem expensive compared to artificially cheap meat. I mean, I seriously don't get this. The reason meat seems cheap isn't because it's more efficient to produce. It's cheap because your taxes are subsidizing it. That means that vegans are paying for meat. That is not a typo. And according to research published in Nature Food, 82% of EU subsidies go to emission-intensive animal agriculture. Meanwhile, plant-based producers get practically nothing. In the UK, we spend £700 million a year subsidising animal agriculture. That's your money supporting artificially cheap meat, while you pay premium prices for the more sustainable alternative. It's like subsidising cigarettes whilst taxing nicotine patches. And this twisted logic gets even worse when you look at climate policy. The government is constantly banging on about reaching net zero emissions by 2050. Agriculture accounts for 12% of UK emissions, with 62% of that coming from livestock. Livestock farming produces more emissions than all our cars combined. Yet mysteriously, when politicians talk about net zero, they mention electric vehicles, heat pumps, wind farms, but never the elephant in the room eating all our crops. And notice how they always go for the easy targets. Tax the working class on their heating bills, make them scrap their old cars for unaffordable electric vehicles, squeeze the pensioners who've worked hard all their life. Now they're hammering farmers with inheritance tax changes that could force family farms to sell up to corporate agribusiness, people who can't lobby their way out of it, can't shuffle money around offshore accounts, can't donate to political parties like the rich do. But mention redirecting subsidies to help farmers transition to more sustainable systems. Suddenly it's too complicated, too expensive, too disruptive to established interests. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Here's the thing. Farmers aren't the enemy, they are our friends. They're absolutely vital for our food security and they're our natural allies in this fight. Most farmers I've spoken to are genuinely concerned about the environment and animal welfare, but they're trapped in a system that forces them to choose between their values and paying their bills. They need our support to evolve, not our criticism. Speaking of systems that force impossible choices, there's another connection between your burger choice and a growing health crisis that most people never even think about. But first, if you're interested in making your own burgers, the homemade option is well worth considering, especially given the processing concerns. The secret isn't cramming random vegetables together. You need a protein base like black beans or textured vegetable protein, proper binding agents, and crucially, moisture removal. Homemade veggie burgers fail because they're too wet. We will cover this in a later video, it's really good fun. Oh, and I've put together all these recommendations in my website, Vegan Supermarket UK. Just so you know, I may earn a small commission if you buy something, but it doesn't cost you extra. Links in the description. Now, before I reveal the connection between vegan burgers and antibiotic resistance that nobody talks about, take a guess in the comments. How much do you think antibiotic use in UK livestock farming has changed in the last decade? Here's what absolutely stunned me when I looked into this. 73% of antimicrobials sold globally are for animals used in food production. And whilst the UK has reduced antibiotic use in livestock by 59% since 2014, we're still using 25.7 milligrams per kilogram of animal. Now, antibiotic resistance kills more people globally than malaria or AIDS. When you choose a vegan burger over a beef one, you're not just avoiding hormones and antibiotics directly. You're reducing demand for a system that could be breeding lockdown-inducing COVID-style superbugs. That should really scare you, but here's the really infuriating bit. The government talks about tackling antibiotic resistance, and yes, they do acknowledge that farm use contributes to it, but they don't emphasize the scale of the problem. 73% of antimicrobials globally go to animals, not people. Yet when they discuss the antibiotic crisis, it's usually framed as a medical issue rather than highlighting that the majority of use is actually in food production. They rarely connect the dots between subsidizing cheap meat and then paying billions, dealing with antibiotic-resistant infections in our hospitals. Every vegan burger you eat instead of a beef burger eliminates the need for about 25 times more resources, 91% less emissions, and removes yourself from a supply chain that's actively making antibiotics less effective for when you actually need them. Let me ask you, does this now change how you see the choice between a vegan burger and a meat one? Because here's what we should actually do. Stop worrying about ultra-processed labels and focus on nutrition facts. Beyond Meat and similar brands have done incredible work creating realistic plant-based alternatives. Meanwhile, Linda McCartney, Co-op's own brand, and other supermarket ranges are creating products that many people find just as satisfying for half the price. And if you want to avoid processed foods altogether, learn to make them yourself. Most importantly, understand that every time you choose plant-based, even if it's processed, you're voting against a system that wastes your tax money, destroys the environment, creates antibiotic resistance, and is a hell for animals, all whilst pretending to care about net zero. The real scandal isn't what's in your vegan burger, it's what the alternatives are doing to your health, your wallet, and your planet, whilst politicians look the other way. Anyway, I hope you found this video interesting and thanks for watching. And if you want more videos on living cruelty-free, please hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next video. Just to be clear, I'm an animal lover who uses AI to help me research and fight against animal cruelty. But every word comes from my genuine passion for helping people to live without causing animal cruelty.